once again another installment of King's Gridiron Challenge TV. This will be the last video for the House Division, and up currently is Bones of Brea. What to say about Bones of Brea? Looking back at his past, he's been in the league for 9 years. Finished outside the playoffs the majority of those years. A lot of 15 to 16 seeded finishes, one title. So it is boom or bust for Bones of Brea the majority of the years. Let's go through his team and see. Sam Bradford, quarterback. A few years ago, Bones traded his entire team for Drew Brees. It looked like that did not work. He then traded Drew Brees for Bradford and a handful of picks, and trying to build his team and recover ever since. Sam Bradford is an average starting quarterback, 300 points, didn't quite reach that level last year. They say that Jeff Fisher is going to have more of a passing spread offense. That could play right into the hands of Sam Bradford. Teammate of Bradford, Jared Cook. This guy I always thought had top 5 tight end potential. Might not have ever been used properly in Tennessee. Maybe Jeff Fisher can get the most out of Jared Cook. If so, that guy could be a big weapon. Demaryius Thomas, Eric Decker. Thomas is definitely a top 7 wide receiver in the NFL in fantasy football, and when he has Peyton Manning, you know he's going to rack up yards, catches, and touchdowns. Eric Decker, unbelievable. This guy has 13 touchdowns last year, a lot in the red zone. White guys can play wide receiver in the NFL, and this guy is proving it. Michael Floyd, wide receiver for Arizona, playing opposite Larry Fitzgerald. Should get a lot of chances with Carson Palmer and Bruce Arians' offense there. Second year, he came on quite a bit at the end of last year, so we'll see how he adjusts to the new offense there. Ryan Matthews, this guy's got a chance to be a top 15 running back in fantasy football in the NFL if he can just stay healthy. He's had some injury problems, some pass protection problems. Danny Woodhead going to play a lot of the passing down there in San Diego, so a lot of catches Ryan Matthews might have got have been taken away. Let's go down the bench here. Rashard Mendenhall. They say he's the #1 running back in Arizona. Bruce Arians likes to throw the ball a ton, as you saw last year when he was with Indianapolis. Mendenhall got some rookies back there in Andre Ellington and Stephen Taylor that may take some cares away from some. Mendenhall coming back from injuries, got to step it up and be the #1 guy there. He just may be passed over quickly. Chris Givens, surprise deep threat for St. Louis last year. They say he's catching everything in training camp, so that's a solid wide receiver to have on your bench, and teaming with Bradford on your bye weeks for the Denver wide receivers and Floyd that you've got there. Brian Quick, they say he was a baby mini TO. He's never quite come around. They say he could even be 4th or 5th wide receiver there in St. Louis, so if he ever catches on, might be a decent guy, but he just has not put it together in the NFL yet. Danny Woodhead, like I said, handcuffed for Ryan Matthews. Might be a better play for Ryan Matthews some games if you assume that San Diego's playing from behind. He'll get a lot of catches just like he did in New England. Stephen Taylor, Andre Ellington, he double handcuffed Rashard Mendenhall. Let's just hope Ryan Williams doesn't win the starting job there in Arizona. Bones will be screwed at that point. Looks like he and Pimp Daddy have a little bit of the same going on with their backup running backs and keeping everybody just to make sure you got that #1 guy. Ronnie Hillman is on Bones of Brea. They thought this guy was going to be a big-time breakout last year. I saw a lot of fantasy pundits putting him as a top 15 running back as a rookie last year. A little on the smaller side. They say he dropped 175 pounds last year as a rookie. You cannot handle that in the NFL. Change of pace guy, they're saying. It may let him start a couple of games early in the season, but this is going to be an issue like Dallas had back in the day with Julius Jones and Marion Barber. Just because you're the starter does not mean you're going to play the majority of the snaps. Kenbrell Tompkins. Now, this guy is a super sleeper, undrafted rookie. Say that he is getting #1 wide receiver reps there in New England. Surprise guy. They say if this guy really could come on and be that starting X receiver in New England. Solid pickup there. You got to have the smarts to jump on that guy ahead of time. Ed Dixon, lucky pickup just before the Pitta injury, but then go ahead and it looks like Dixon may not be ready for week 1, but majority of the season he'll be a solid backup for Jared Cook there. Kenny Britt was brought over in a wide receiver trade. Kenny Britt, this guy's got potential. I mean, he could be a breakout receiver if he ever stays healthy and keeps his head on straight. Matt Prater, solid kicker there. Denver's going to put up points. He's going to put up extra points and field goals. Chicago's defense, even though it gets older, it's a turnover machine. 393 points last year. That's a solid defense in fantasy football to have. Janoris Jenkins, solid rookie season last year as cornerback for the Rams. Don't think he's getting his 4 touchdowns. 124 points. Take away those 4 touchdowns, the 100-point DB. That's about average. Eric Berry, that guy could be one of the top safeties in the NFL if, again, he just stays healthy. Robert Quinn, that guy's got top 10 defensive end production there in fantasy football. Chris Long on the other side. They got a rookie defensive tackle. Maybe Jeff Fisher, that new coaching regime, gets them going. John Bostic eventually will be the starting middle linebacker for the Chicago Bears, taking over for Urlacher. They may have DJ Williams, formerly of the Denver Broncos, as a stopgap middle linebacker there. But I hear good things about Bostic. That guy should be a stud guy coming on in the future, definitely in a dynasty league. That's a solid pickup. Daniel Ellerbe coming to Miami from Baltimore. This guy was on waivers, picked him up 90 points last year. He's going to be pretty much the linebacker in Miami. I know he's got some other good guys there, but he should rack up a lot of tackles out there. Ziggy Ansah, if you pronounce that right, rookie defensive end for Detroit. I know it was Mark Sanchez, but he had an awesome pick 6 for a touchdown the preseason game. They say Jason Pierre-Paul comparison. If he lives up to that, that guy can be a real solid defensive end fantasy football purposes. Darrell Washington, again, this guy potentially dynasty IDP rankings. I see him top 5 everywhere, if not top 2. Suspended for first few games of the season, but for the majority of the end of the season, he should be solid. He put up 150 points last year, so that's over 10 points a game. Even missing 4 games, this guy's going to put well over 100 fantasy football points. That is Bones of La Brea's team. He's got some good pieces, got really solid wide receiver core, running backs with San Diego running backs, Arizona running backs. I don't know how much they're going to run in Arizona, so those running backs might not be up on the top side. Overall, just a few questionable moves by Bones. Brees trade, he had an idea that one quarterback wins you games. It quite wasn't the case if you don't have other pieces around him. Then traded Drew Brees, trying to then fill other pieces. Looked like he's done a decent job making a complete roster, but Demaryius Thomas, Chicago defense, let's go ahead and put Jared Cook in there as a projected top. It's really only 3 elite positions on his team. Like I said, this guy's a boomer bust. He came out of nowhere and won a title a few years back, I believe in 2010, but consistent losing records for the majority of the parts. Fantasy football is a crapshoot. You can have a great team like CU last year, put up major points, but lose some games. You could have a quote-unquote weaker team, and if your opponents play weaker than you, well, then you can win some games. So we're going to see what's going on here, but playing against Z-Bob twice a year, it's really 2 losses. Bloody Sundays, Pimp Daddy, 4 games. You split those? If so, that's 2-4 in your division. You're on the outside looking in for the playoffs. Overall, I'm going to go ahead and look at Yahoo's projections here. We all understand the projections are just projections and opinions. They're nowhere near accurate in any way, shape, or form, but it at least gives you a halfway decent idea. They got him at 5-8, 2-4 in the division. Like I said, 2-4. That's honestly splitting with Pip Daddy, Bloody Sundays. 5-8. That's got him 11. I'm kind of thinking 5-8 is actually higher prediction than I would give. I'm honestly going to go with a 3-10 season for Bones of the Brea, and that's really going to put him in the bottom 3 or 4 of the league. I say it's unfortunately another long season for Bones of the Brea. Maybe if Bradford comes around and has a big season, you know, he can surprise some teams and win there. But I'm going to go say he's the bottom 4 of the league here, bottom quarter, and it's a miss the playoffs. Maybe if he makes a few more moves and those young guys pan out and has a solid draft, maybe he can come along. But we're going to say 3-10 outside the playoffs and one more losing season. That does wrap it up for the Hallis division. We do say Seabob wins that division in a landslide. And we say Pimp Daddy's got a shot at one of the 4 wild cards. So going through half season so far, we got Pink, Flamingos, and Seabob as division champs in the 2 divisions we previewed, and Pimp Daddy as a possible wild card. So right now we're only predicting 3 of 8 teams so far that have been previewed to have a shot at the playoffs. Everybody have a good weekend, and we will start up with the Landry division on Monday, and that first team that we preview is going to be the Imperial Force. We will try to get C Unit to do that team preview. Let's all get on him to see if he can do that team preview for us. Alright, everybody have a good weekend, and let's just be thankful the NFL is right around the corner.